Hello friends, AmyR here with Prairie Paper and Ink, this time with more traditional Valentine cards. But again, they don't say Happy Valentine's Day because, yeah, just depends on my mood. I like keeping them though because I don't need, 20 plus Valentine themed cards. So I like keeping them open-ended. Anywho, this is an oldie but goodie stamp. This is the Center Cut Heart background stamp from Simon Says Stamp that came out 4 years ago, something like that. They're still available. I'll link like I always do. But I have it face up here on my work surface. And then I have some pale pink cardstock that I had used my anti-static powder tool on. Then I inked up the stamp with clear embossing ink and then just flipped the cardstock over onto it, pressing it down with my hands. I've shown this off and on for years. You can always use, of course, a Misty with background stamps. Just depends on my mood, whether or not I do that. Something like this just wasn't necessary. And my original plan here was I was just going to emboss with clear embossing ink because it gives a slightly darker look. You see all the detail, that's fine. But then I remembered I have this pink PEONY embossing powder from Wendy Vecchi that I had used in a video not too long ago. And I was like, ooh, this would probably look really pretty on this cardstock. And I was right. It is very pretty on this pale pink cardstock. It's like, after it's melted, it's, a little bit darker. It's just pretty. It's just a pretty embossing powder. Like, it's pink. Why not? So I heated that background till it was melted. And then there is this Deco Heart Wafer die that coordinates with this background. Because that background, you can actually pop that heart out, use it alone. I'm going to do that later in the video. But I used just the outline from that die set because it's sized the same to die cut that heart from the background. So that way I've got two pieces. I have like the frame, I'll call it, and then the heart. So this way I'm going to get two backgrounds out of one, which is always fabulous. I've shown this with this exact background. I did a video a couple years ago, whenever it was. I don't even remember, but similar idea. But for this one, I'm doing this for this week's Color Throwdown Challenge and just finally trying to get caught up with all my footage. But anywho, after I die cut it, I had die cut that panel with one of Simon's basic rectangle dies. And then I had cut down some smoke gray cardstock. And I adhered the frame to the one. And then I'm adhering the heart to the other. And as is tradition, I'm going to add splatter. Not a ton. But I felt like it just needed it. They just needed a little bit of splatter. So I adhered the heart and the frame just flat to those pieces of smoke gray cardstock with some craft tacky glue. And then I grabbed my picket fence distress paint, squeezed it onto my little plastic palette, added a bit of water to this, and then I just swirl it up with my brush and splatter it across these backgrounds. I was kind of going in an angle on these from like the lower right to the upper left. I don't know. That's just what I wanted to do. Not really worried about it though, because it's going to go everywhere because splatter is notoriously difficult to control. And I'm okay with that. As you can see by my splat box, because it's literally covered, as is pretty much everything on my desk. But after I splattered these backgrounds with the distress paint, I'm going to let them completely dry. And then I die cut some soft navy cardstock using the Shadow. It's called the Shadow Love Wafer die set. This is another old one. This came out 5 or 6 years ago, something like that. This is another old favorite of mine. Yeah, just love it. There's the word and the outline. I didn't use the outline, I just used the word, and I die cut it multiple times from the soft navy cardstock, and then, as is tradition, stacked 3 layers together. So I've got that depth and dimension that I really like when it comes to word wafer dies. So I stack those together with the craft tacky glue, and I have that coordinating love stamp set, and I just grabbed my favorite sentiment from it. There's a bunch, because it's all buildable, which again, I really love when it comes to sentiment sets. But I grabbed the You to Pieces, so the sentiment will say love you to pieces. And I stamped that onto a scrap of smooth white cardstock with soft navy ink. And then I'm just going to die cut these with the smallest of the sentiment label wafer dies. And then taping that wafer die into place with a little bit of washi tape so that this doesn't move when I run it through my die cut machine. And I'll do this twice, one for each of the sentiments. Once those are die cut, I'm just going to shorten them. I'd left them longer at first. I had some like random ideas, and you see me like holding it up to the card. I was like, ooh, I wonder if I should like cut it on an angle, kind of try and tuck it under the sentiment. And I was like, no, let's just keep it simple. So I just trimmed off the ends with my paper trimmer. You can use scissors, but I find when I do that with scissors, I always end up cutting it crooked. I've said this in other videos, like the older I'm getting, I'm just getting worse and worse at eyeballing things. And also because I have astigmatism in both my eyes now as I'm getting older. So anywho, cut those down. And then I removed that center heart from the background. Simon's got like a bunch of these center cut background stamps where you can remove the centerpiece. So I removed that center heart and I inked it up with spun sugar distress oxide ink. And I'm stamping these onto what will be the inside of my card bases, which is heavyweight white cardstock. And then I used the Love Greetings Mix stamp set that I used in a previous video. Grabbed a couple sentiments from that set to use on the inside of the card. And I'm inking up the larger one with that same soft navy ink. And it says, I sort of maybe love you a lot. I don't know. I love this set. I love the sentiments. There's a couple snarky ones tucked in that set too. Haven't had a chance to use it, but they're just, I was like, yes. Anyway, did that. And then I had to add another sentiment because I wanted to bring in the 3 colors for the color challenge. Because I've got the navy on the inside, the pink. So I grabbed this Be Mine sentiment from that same set. I inked this up with some smoke ink from Simon. And then stamped that on the inside of the card. So now the insides are done. All I need to do is assemble the outsides. So I am just adhering these panels to the card front with craft tacky glue. And then the love sentiment also adhering with craft tacky glue. And then the little banner, I'm going to adhere with just some thin 3D foam squares. I just cut them in half so that they are small enough to fit onto this little banner. So pop those on there. I'm going to pop this into place. As always, you could leave it here, but I'm going to add just a little embellishment, nothing too crazy. I have some kind of midnight blue crystals. So I'm going to sprinkle those onto both of these card fronts, and they just kind of bring in more of that navy because they're technically black crystals, but they have a finish on them that reflects like a navy blue. They're really pretty. So sprinkled those onto the card fronts, and then I'm going to adhere those into place with little dabs of craft tacky glue. And then at the very end, I'm going to include some soft navy envelopes as well, just to tie it all together. And like always, when I link to everything and link to my blog post, in my blog post, I'll have the graphic for the color throwdown challenge and a link to it if you guys want to check it out. It's open to everyone, all that stuff, all the info is on their blog, and I link to it in mine, as well as I will have links to all of the supplies that I use, so you can check that out in the description box below the video. Thank you guys so much for watching, for subscribing, for thumbs upping, commenting, all of it. I very much appreciate it. And I will see you all very soon in the next video. Bye.